Hello, I am Amber, and I thought as I started my YouTube channel about halfway through the year that I could go through what I read at the beginning of the year to give you an idea of what sort of books I like to read. So I'm not going to go into details about the books, as in this video would be way too long, but what I'll tell you is I'll tell you the book, the author, the series it's from, and what I rated it. I'm sorry about my pronunciation for some of the names. I did try looking up how to pronounce them with mixed success. For some of them I found conflicting results as to how I'm supposed to pronounce them. There was a fair few that made me more confused than I was to begin with. But we'll see how I go. So first off, the physical books. The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. I rated this 5 stars. I did start this last year, but I finished it at the beginning of this year. A bind-up of Nerve and Smokescreen by Dick Francis. I gave this 3 stars. I read Nerve last year and I read Smokescreen this year, and both of them were 3 stars. Journal 29 by Dimitris Chassapakis. I gave this 4 stars. It's a book I've been doing on and off for the past couple of years, and I finally finished it. It's also one that, when I looked up the pronunciation, it just made it more confusing for me, and it really would not surprise me if I butchered it. Then Valour and Ruin in the Faithful and the Fallen series by Gwynne. I gave both of these 5 stars. The Heidi Trilogy, which I gave 3 stars, and that is Heidi by Johanna Spyri, and Heidi Grows Up and Heidi's Children by Tritten. The Demigod Diaries and the Mark of Athena by Riordan in the Heroes of Olympus series. I gave the Mark of Athena 4 stars and the Demigod Diaries 3 stars. I want to also point out that one of the stories in the Demigod Diaries was written by Riordan, who was the son of Riordan. Percy Jackson and the Olympians: The Ultimate Guide, which I gave 5 stars. So although the concept is by Riordan, and I think on Goodreads it's down as being written by him, it's actually written by Mary Jane Knight. Lord Loss in the Demonata series by Darren Shan, which I gave 4 stars. Think Again in the Girls series by Jacqueline Wilson, which I gave 3 stars. Doomed Romances, Strange Tales of the Uncanny Love, which was edited by Joanne Ella Parsons. I gave this one 4 stars. Then Jim Henson's Labyrinth, Coronation Volume 1 by Simon Spurrier, illustrated by Daniel Bayliss. There's also other illustrators involved in this as well, but Daniel Bayliss is the one who seems to have been named, although Dan Jackson is also on the cover. I gave this 4 stars. Hellbent in the Alex Stern series by Lee Bardugo. I gave this 4 stars. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, 4 stars. An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson, 4 stars. Sunrise on the Reaping in the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins, 4 stars. The Mammoth Book of Vampire Romance 2, Love Bites, edited by Trisha Tellep, 3 stars. Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel, gave it 2 stars. The Fox Wife by Yangshi Chu, I gave that 4 stars. Hamajang Look by Makana Yamamoto, gave it 4 stars. And This Is Not a Kid's Book, Sleepover by Andrew Racho, illustrated by Winendra AD, and I gave this 1 star. Then there was also A is for Alien, an ABC book, and that's by Charles Gold, illustrated by Joey Chu, and I gave that 2 stars. So, ebook-wise, I've read The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind and Body in the Healing of Trauma by Bessel van der Kolk, and I gave that 3 stars. Then Haunting Adeline in the Cat and Mouse series by H.D. Carlton, I gave that 3 stars, and it's a interesting follow-up to the previous book. Then The Gift of Therapy, an open letter to a new generation of therapists and their patients by Irvin D. Yalom, I gave that 3 stars, and that's also an interesting follow-up to the last book. Then Let's Get Digital, How to Self-Publish and Why You Should by David Gowron, gave that 4 stars. And 1984 by George Orwell, and I gave that 4 stars. So audiobooks have made up the bulk of my reading this year. Towards the beginning of the year, I had a lot of opportunity to listen to audiobooks at work. I left that job in March, and since then I've started listening to less audiobooks. but here is what I listened to. So, How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie, 3 stars. Endsinger in the Lotus War series by J. Christoph, 3 stars. Then in the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien, I read The Fellowship of the Ring, 4 stars. Two Towers, 3 stars. And The Return of the King, 3 stars. And then I listened to The Complete Alice in Wonderland collection by Lewis Carroll, and that's Alice's Adventures Underground, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, and I believe the Jabberwocky poem was in there as well. And overall I gave that 4 stars, but I didn't give each individual book a rating. And then I listened to The Complete A Series of Unfortunate Events series by Lemony Snicket. So The Bad Beginning, 4 stars. The Reptile Room, 5. The Wide Window, 3. The Miserable Mill, 4 stars. The Austere Academy, 2 stars. The Ersatz Elevator, 3. The Vile Village, 4. The Hostile Hospital, 3 stars. The Carnivorous Carnival, 3. The Slippery Slope, 3. The Grim Grotto, 4 stars. The Penultimate Peril, 3 stars. The End, 3 stars. So although I listened to this on audio, I also own 2 of the books in that series. So that was Succubus Dreams, 3 stars, Succubus Heat, 3, Succubus Shadows, 3 stars, Succubus Revealed, 4, and they were in the Georgina Kincaid series by Rochelle Mead. And then I listened to A Touch of Darkness, A Touch of Ruin, A Touch of Malice, and A Touch of Chaos in the Hades and Persephone series by Charlotte St. Clair. So I gave all of these books 4 stars, apart from the last one, which I gave 3. Then in the Steel Pack Alpha series by Rhys Barden, I listened to The Chase, 4 stars, and The Hunt, 3 stars. So then I listened to the Fairy Bargain series by Melissa Marr, and this consisted of The Wicked and the Dead, Blood Martinis and Mistletoe, The Kiss and the Killer, and The Hex and the Hunted, and I gave each book 3 stars. Then I listened to some of the novellas from His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, and that was Once Upon a Time in the North, 3 stars, The Collectors, 3 stars, and Lyra's Oxford, 4 stars. Then from the Briar Dark series by S.A. Harrion, I listened to Briar Dark, 3 stars, Waywarden, 4 stars. And by Darcy Coates, I listened to From Below, 4 stars, Hunted, 4 stars, Ghost Camera, 3, and Dead of Winter, 3 stars. Then is Black Tongue by Mitchell Lucci, and his name I've heard pronounced several different ways, so I'm not quite sure what's correct. Then Wolfsbane by Kelly Armstrong, which is part of the Otherworld books, and this is in the series Kate and Logan, and I gave that 4 stars. Then I listened to Beg Me to Slay by Lisa Kessler, 3 stars. Good Girls Don't by Mara Wilson, 5 stars. At Night I Become a Monster by Yoru Sumino, 4 stars. Always a Bridesmaid by Erin Clark and Laura Lovely, 4 stars. All Systems Red in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, 3 stars. The Utterly Uninteresting and Unadventurous Tales of Fred, the Vampire Accountant, which is in the series Fred the Vampire Accountant by Drew Hayes, I gave that 4 stars. The Dark Between the Trees by Fiona Barnett, 2 stars. Heads Will Roll, Josh Winning, 3 stars. Fourth Wing, which I also own a physical copy of, and that's in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros, I gave that 4 stars. Song of Souls, A Pied Piper retelling by Skye McKinnon, 2 stars. Hex in the Robert Grimm series by Thomas Alderhevold, 2 stars. The Crash by Frida McFadden, 3 stars. Dragon Day by Bob Proel, 3 stars. The Time Traveller's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, 3 stars. The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, 4 stars. Lark and the Wild Hunt by Jennifer Adam, 4 stars. The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields, 4 stars. Another one that I also have a physical copy of, I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy, 5 stars. And Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, 3 stars. So that's all the books that I read in the first half of the year. I don't expect to read as much in the second half, as I won't be listening to as many audiobooks. But I have since hit the 100 mark, so yay me. And I think this year I'll probably read the most that I have read since being on Goodreads. So have you read any of the books that I've mentioned today? If so, what did you think of them? And are there any books that you can recommend me based on what I've enjoyed so far this year? Just let me know in the comments. Give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to. I'll talk to you next time.